It took a really long time for the rule vote, that procedural vote, to pass. That happened at around 3:30. And there were 5 no's initially: Thomas Massie, Keith Self, Brian Fitzpatrick, Andrew Clyde, and Victoria Spartz. Do you know what the guarantees that were made that turned some of those no's into yeses?
Yeah, they've been looking for, guarantees of other pieces of legislation that they could not fit into this bill, things that the House of Representatives had approved that they would get another chance to do their bills. Also a guarantee of executive orders from the president. One of the biggest differences between the House bill and the Senate bill was the fact that in the original House bill, they were able to bar Medicaid benefits from going to illegal immigrants. Well, because the Senate has these special budget rules to avoid a filibuster, there was no way they could ever get this through under the regular order in the Senate, so they had to use this special process to bypass a filibuster. That was ruled out by the Senate parliamentarians. So a lot of conservatives did not like that premise there. I also talked to Eric Burleson, a Republican from Missouri, yesterday, who was a no and said he wanted to get to yes, but said he was very concerned about some of the deficit issues. And so, those concerns were laid. But it was pretty clear that this block of people were there, and they were waiting for Scott Perry to come back from Pennsylvania so they all could go in and vote. At one point, though, things were a little bit intense because, by calling this vote last night, Mike Johnson did not necessarily have the votes nailed down. He seemed to think and exuded confidence throughout the day that they would get there. But what they did is it kind of flushed out and made people take a position. You don't really know where they stand until they cast their ballots. And so very quickly, people were either up on the board as no's or they had not voted. And we understood the universe of those members who were kind of out there. And then, was there pressure from the president, pressure from some of their colleagues, certainly pressure from their constituents, those who were aligned with President Trump. They did not want to be, nor did the Republican leadership want them to be the persons who stood in the way of passing the big, beautiful bill.